Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Eugene Enevoldson, co-founder of Cypress Solar and Roofing. And today he's going to be sharing all about his journey to business ownership, his challenges, best practices, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's like to own and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. So I just want to welcome everyone and a special welcome to you, Eugene. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, if you could just set the stage for our audience and just give a little bit background about who you are and tell us a little bit about your business too.
Okay. Um, I'm a third generation cabinet furniture maker by trade. I grew up in a cabinet shop, and it was actually my first business. I owned my own cabinet business when I was 18 years old, and
Wow.
just kind of had a journey in construction. My grandfather on my mom's side was a contractor, and he built homes, did some remodeling and stuff. So I got, pretty heavy into the construction side of things. And really, I had my contractor's license in the state of Hawaii for a while when I lived over there,
Nice.
and did mostly remodeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was there. And then I developed a framing system that I later sold to a company here in Bossier City. And was under contract to work for them for a few years. I did that. They sold out to a company out of New York, and I kind of went off and did some other things. So I actually got into roofing, was working for another roofing company in the area, and then eventually in 2001 decided to go out on my own.
So first of all, you said Hawaii, so that's intriguing,
Yeah.
just beautiful, so beautiful there. And then you developed, I wrote down a framing system. What
Yeah.
is that? And I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but I can't just skip over that.
Yeah, so originally it was designed in Hawaii. They have a lot of termite and mold issues. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was a metal panel that incorporated the studs of the wall and the sheeting all in one.
Huh.
And we were manufacturing it in the mainland, actually in Oklahoma, to ship to Hawaii just because the cost of manufacturing in Hawaii is so high. Um, but there was a telecom company out of Bossier that saw our product and said this would be great for their equipment shelters below cell phone towers.
Hmm.
And so they came and basically made an offer to purchase the company, and started using it for all their urban applications. So on top
Hmm.
of high rises, or if they had to helicopter something in for a cell phone site, they would use our product because it's a lot lighter than the concrete shelters that they would normally use.
Wow. I,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking over 20 years ago, you started at 18 and then fast forward, you were able to create something that was able to be acquired
Yeah.
and then start another business, a third business.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're not green at any of this.
Now, I will say that I've learned a lot over the process.
Hmm.
What it really takes to be an entrepreneur. You have two parts of it. You have the side that's that visionary, which I would say is more what I am. Um,
Hmm.
and a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, are that they come in and they want to do something a little bit different than everybody else, or they feel like they can provide a
Hmm.
service different than anybody else. And they start their own thing, and then they get down into the weeds of the day to day, and it may not be exactly what they want. You have entrepreneurs on both sides of that. You have people who love the day to day, and you have people who love to come up with the big ideas and work the big networking,
Hmm.
projects and stuff like that. And it takes both. Not
Yeah,
many people can do both, but it takes both positions.
that's really true. Where do you feel like you fall? Where's your strength at in between those two?
Heavy on the visionary side. I can
Hmm.
I can do the day-to-day stuff, but it's not what I enjoy. It's not what I'm passionate about. I really like to be
Hmm.
out there building a brand and developing business development, coming up with new ideas and solving, problems for my customers.
So if that's where you're bent, which both are right, right? There's no wrong. How do you keep your passion alive for what you're doing right now and the vision strong?
It's about putting a good team around you and
Mm,
realizing what you're good at and what you're not, and bring in some people to help with the things that you're not good at. Um, it might be one of the hardest things. I grew up, being in a cabinet shop with woodworking and furniture and stuff. It's such a um, y- attention to detail type
mm,
thing. You can't really be off by a 16th of an inch, and it causes problems. Doors won't close, different things like that.
mhm,
So can lend to being a little bit of a perfectionist, and
mhm,
it takes a while to let go and let some other people. We struggle as entrepreneurs with that, like letting go and letting other people do the things that
mm,
they can do better than you. But you can't be 100% good at everything. So
mhm.
you have to realize that.
Yeah. Was that a challenge that you felt like you had to overcome, or was that almost like a relief after being in that world where you said perfectionism was such a big deal?
Yeah. At first it was a big challenge for me. Especially, 10, 15 years ago, a little younger.
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm,
just wasn't really willing to letting go of the control to me felt like the business would be out of control. Like I
mm,
was so focused on trying to control every aspect of it, but you can't provide a really good service if you're the bottleneck for everything.
mm. I hear that a lot on these shows. It's really hard because it's your baby,
Yeah.
it's your business to let that go. Can you share maybe a time where you had to work through that challenge and what the outcome was?
Yeah, so part of our issue that we had as we've grown, um production. So
Mm,
initially, when I started the business with the other partners, we kind of handled our own projects. So we would sell our own projects, we would project manage our own projects, order our own materials, do all that sort of stuff, start to finish, cradle to grave, which is a lot of roofing companies process. They'll
mhm,
they'll handle that all the way through. But what I've realized is that it's more important to provide that consistent level of service to your customers.
mhm,
So if anybody's out um, taking care of a project and they're wearing our brand, well, our brand is not just the shirt that we wear, it's actually the customer experience as
mm,
well. So we want that to be the same. And we realized that it wasn't the same. I have this idealistic way of how I think a customer experience should go.
mm,
But one of the other partners may see it completely different. And it's not that is their way is wrong or my way is right or whatever, but it's more of being consistent about the whole process and understanding that a customer eh, contractors don't have the best light, when it comes to when the customers, right, you hear the same thing. It's like they don't show up, they don't do what they say they're going to do, that sort of stuff. So those very
mhm,
important to us is what's the pain points for a homeowner when they deal with a roofing contractor.
mm,
How can we be different, provide value? I can't just sit here and say that we're the best roofing contractor in the world, because best roofing contractor in the world has no room to grow, right?
mhm.
So for us, we want to provide the best value, and we constantly want to be getting better at our process, our customer experience, and the quality of the roof that we put on. So
Yeah, I really loved what you said. Two things that you said. One, if you're the best, you can't grow, something to that effect. But then you said you really wanted to learn the pain point of your customer,
yeah.
and work that way, which is really a great way to work no matter what industry you're in. what was a pain point um, that you heard often, and how did you fix it?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I realize in our industry is you get a tail light warranty, what I like to call it. So everything's going good. The roofer puts his ladder in the back of the truck and he says, "All right, I'm going to come go over your warranty packet with you." And by the time he turns the corner, you never hear from him again. So it's pretty typical storm chasing, that sort of thing.
Mm,
People are not working in necessarily in their local market. Homeowners don't really know the ins and outs of how the roofing industry works with insurance. And so they go with whoever comes and knocks the
mm,
door or whatever, and not really do that research to make sure that they're local and that they carry the certifications with the
mm-hmm,
different manufacturers. And workers comp for our state is a big deal.
mm-hmm,
Homeowners liable if someone falls off the roof if the contractor does not have workers comp. So that's
mm,
a big deal. But they don't, people come from out of states where they're not required to carry it, and they put these roofs on, but they're just going for the quick money and they leave.
mm,
So for us, we see that a lot. We get phone calls all the time. I can't get a hold of my roofer. I don't even know who
mm.
he was, what his name was, but I have a leak. And so, so that was a big pain point for us. So every one of our roofs comes with a manufactured back warranty.
Mm.
So it covers that workmanship and it covers the materials and everything. So there's no out of pocket expense should I decide not to be in roofing anymore. They can call
Mm.
the manufacturer their roof is registered with, and they'll send out another certified installer to do those repairs at no cost to the homeowner.
That's really smart. So, for our audience that's listening, and you live in the Baton Rouge area, Shreveport, you know who to call for sure.
Yeah.
Because we get all the hurricanes and all that for sure. So I'm sure there's a lot of phone calls coming up, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah.
you mentioned, your brand being the customer service, and that takes team building and training.
Mhm.
Walk me through how you train your team to make sure they're representing the brand well.
Yeah. So I don't know, if the listeners are really familiar with the roofing industry, but there's a huge turnover in sales in the
Mm,
roofing industry. You can obviously make a lot of money. Sales is generally going to be your higher paid position in almost any company. So and roofing is no different. But
mhm,
the problem with that is it's a low barrier to entry. So they will have these salespeople come in, they're 1099, they're out canvassing, knocking doors, and maybe they do okay, maybe they don't. But they give them some basic training, and they tell the roofing sales reps that, hey, as long as you know even 10% more than what the homeowner knows, you're the expert.
wow.
So where we're different, our sales reps are employees,
Mm,
and they're focused on knowledge. So we teach them all the components of the roof. We teach them to ask questions before talking. So let's see what's important to the homeowner. Is it what's a long-term plan for the house? I don't want to sell you something that you don't need. So
mm,
if you're just needing a roof put on this house, and you don't care about the warranties and that sort of thing because you're selling the house, you have to move because of your job or something like that, then we understand, and that's what we're going to give you,
yeah.
where the other side of that is people just, hey, we're just putting on a roof, and a homeowner doesn't really know the difference in the components of what's being put on a roof. Then
Mhm,
they look at a house and they say, okay, that's shingles, and this is shingles. So what's the difference? But there's so
yeah.
many components that go in the roof, so that's a that's a big thing. We want to make sure that our people are trained that so they can be
Mm,
consultants versus salespeople.
that's really good. You mentioned earlier that you had partners coming into this business, and that's a question that a lot of founders wrestle with as they grow. Do I bring in investors? Do I bring in co-partners? Do I self-fund? Can you walk us through that process and why you decided on partners?
Yeah, so partners come with challenges, and I'm sure anybody that's been in business know you have. If you are that person like I was, where I wanted control of everything, it can be
Mm,
tough to bring in partners because you have a different look at almost everything. Your background is different, the way you're raised is different.
mm,
No different than a relationship. Way your parents raised you may be different than your spouse and how they were raised, and so you have a different idea of how to raise your child, right? And so that can be conflict, and it's not any different in business. It's the same thing. This is your baby, and
hmm.
when you bring someone else into the mix,
Right.
it causes some issues. So I think for us, what has driven our success is we have been very, we have we follow a program. So like an EOS, like traction, that sort of thing,
Hmm.
where we hold each other accountable. We have the quarterly meetings, and we set tasks for us for the quarter. And we basically, we say there's no exceptions. These things have to be done. And so
Hmm.
we make it happen. And that really helps with our business relationship.
And are
So
they also day to day like you are?
they are, yes. So we have one that's overproduction,
Hmm.
and then handles finance, and then some on the marketing side of the other one. So there's
Hmm.
actually four of us. So
Wow. Wow. I love to see that. Seems like it's a well-oiled machine, like a working relationship, because I've heard stories. And like I said earlier, people just, struggle with in the beginning. And there's no wrong answer. It really depends on what you're looking for. Do I self-fund investors and
yeah.
partnerships? So as you talk about the future of Cypress Solar and roofing with your partners,
Mhm.
what's the long-term goal?
Ultimately, we want to step back and be more owners instead of operators in the business.
Mm-hmm.
We also, that's another piece of it. You have to understand that just because you're an owner, that does not entitle you to a position in the business. That's
Mm,
probably one of the toughest things with partnerships. Um, and to be able to realize that, this is not my field of expertise. I'm not the best at marketing, or I'm not the best at production, or whatever that thing is, or being a sales manager, and be able to step back and say, okay, do I go buy someone else's 10,000 hours worth of experience, or do
mm,
I try to shoestring this thing along? And what we've realized is you're much better off to go buy the 10,000 hours than you are to do them yourself.
mm.
So,
So you really see the four of you kind of coming out of the day to day
yes.
and being more of the owners, where you have maybe a new CEO, uh,
Yes.
project manager, whatever positions there are.
Yeah, so we have it. We currently, and we over the last year and a half, we've started down that path. So we have an
Mm,
office manager, we have a sales manager, we have a production manager, and so what we're looking to put in place next is actually a COO. So
mm.
operations overall, the day-to-day operations for the business, and then it's not that we're going to go anywhere. It's
Right.
more I'm going to build the brand, business development. Those are the things we're going to work on. Uh,
Hmm.
Community outreach, building those larger networks, maybe opening another satellite office or two, that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
those are the things that we're passionate about as owners, and someone else can do the day to day much better than
Yeah.
we can.
How do you go about strategizing for that? Are there, yeah, I'm just going to
Yeah,
leave it
so
there.
actually there's a really great program that we're a part of. It's SIG.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I'm
they
not.
do an evaluation of the business, and they give you all the data. You can look at your financial side and how you pair up or match up against everybody in your industry in your area
Hmm.
in the state. They can give you marketing stuff like where you're at,
Wow.
where you should look. They give you all the data. They don't really coach you per se,
Mm-hmm.
but they just
Mm-hmm.
show you how you stack up against
Mm.
other, and it's a free program. It's really great. I would
Wow.
recommend looking into that if you haven't. It's worth it.
I
So
think that's really cool how you're getting the information, like you said, you got to bring in people, right? You don't have to do all the things. So when you're doing this program, what is one of the things that really was highlighted for you that the four of you have been able to tweak? What did you
so the
learn
big
as
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I'm noticing from it is marketing. Marketing is such a
mm,
challenge. It's hard to know, am I getting a return on my investment? Where should I be spending my money? Where should I spend my time to generate leads? You know,
yeah.
and so we're obviously for us, it's Google. Facebook does some things, but it's not just being on Google, it's having a presence in all the markets that you're working and being specific about what
Mm,
work you're looking for. So people, I notice, and I did it in my early business. I would take anything and everything that came in the door.
mm,
If someone needed rock, put on their back patio or something like that, I was doing that. Even though it wasn't, I would get a sub and I would do that stuff. But you have a tendency to either not price it right because you don't have the
mm-hmm,
experience. You may miss a few
mm-hmm,
things, that sort of stuff. So when you narrow it down and just do one thing really well, then you can also increase your margins, cut out a lot of the fluff, in your be more efficient,
mm-hmm.
which all those things affect your bottom line.
For sure. For
So
sure. I love that so much. We talked about long term for the business, but what about you? You know, you're have opened, this is your third business.
yes.
You're a visionary, which means you never stop dreaming, you never stop thinking, how can you do it better? What can be, new ideas. Where do you see yourself maybe in the long term, say 3 to 5 years?
Ultimately, I would like to coach that, just
Really?
young entrepreneurs that are trying to figure it out. It's so difficult, and people will tell you that you should bring some or get some advice, or you should do this or
Mm-hmm.
spend the money here or whatever. Well, I started this roofing business with $12,000.
Wow. Yeah.
So it doesn't take a lot of money. It takes the commitment of your time and making the right moves.
Mm,
And as there's so much information out there, I would prefer to actually look into their business, spend a little bit of time with them, see where
yeah.
they're headed and what drives them, and then hopefully help them make some decisions to save them.
Yeah.
Efficiency, same thing. How much
Mm,
faster? So we started this business in 2001. Last year, we did $11.2 million
wow.
in business. We're
Wow.
on track for that this year. And that's a short period of time. I could have never done that, in my first business or even in
Yeah.
my second business, because I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, of course, this podcast is for Action Coach. So we love coaching. So the fact that that's something that's passionate, something for you, congratulate. Oh, that's kudos to you. I should say, go do it because you've obviously have been successful in what you do, and would be a great mentor, coach to share that knowledge, right?
Yeah. I would love it. I'd enjoy it. And it's just, you don't know where to turn when you're a young
Mhm.
entrepreneur and trying to figure out, do I do this or do I do that, or should I spend this money with this, with these people or this
Yeah.
marketing and all that kind of stuff, and it takes a combination of it. You have to have the grassroots stuff, but then you also
Mm,
have to self-educate, for sure. So
yeah.
which steps to take.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. It's awesome. What does it mean to you when you see when you say things like how much you've grown financially last year and you have this goal that you're achieving? What does that mean to you personally to see all that you've accomplished?
Um, it's it's humbling, in some way, because you don't really see the work. A lot of people don't see the work that went into building those relationships and
Hmm.
getting the right people in place so that you can do those types of projects, that are large numbers, and because it comes
Hmm.
with its own challenges.
Yeah.
So um so yeah, you have to it's easy for you people to look on the outside and say, okay, well, they're just, successful and been in the right place at the right time, but it's being prepared for the opportunity
Hmm.
that takes the work.
Yeah. I love that so much. Well, I love it. I think you've got a lot of wisdom to share and, can't fit it all in this show, but
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everybody to reach out to you even through LinkedIn and get to know you. And if you're in the area, to find out how you can connect.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I'm ready for some rapid fire questions and to have some fun. What do you say?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. All right, what would you say is the key to success for you?
Self-education.
Hmm, that's good. Might be the same answer, but what would you give? What's the one piece of advice you would give to other business owners?
um be open-minded to the fact that there's someone out there that can do it better than you.
Mm, that someone can do it better than you. I want to write that down. That's good. All right, book or podcast? What are you reading or listening to right now?
Yeah, so the two last books that I've read, that I really think every entrepreneur should read is Rocket Fuel and Buy Back Your Time.
Mm, I haven't heard that one yet.
It's great.
I love getting all the book recommendations for sure. Buy back your time. Who are the authors?
Dan Martrell is Buy Back Your Time, and I think it's Gino Wickman on Rocket Fuel.
Okay, I'll look it up for sure. All right, this is a little bit of a fun one. If you had a little bit of magic dust and could sprinkle it anywhere in your business, where would you sprinkle it?
By far, I would say marketing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that are changing with AI and everything going on. It's a constant, it's a moving target.
Yeah, for sure. I get that a lot. Yeah. All right. Well, before we get to the final question of the day, share with everyone how they can follow you, find you, hire you, all the things.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. Cypress Solar and Roofing. Our website is cypressroofingpros.com. They're welcome to email me at Eugene at cypressroofingpros.com. We have a old fire station as our office here in Bossier City, so welcome to stop by. It's really neat. It's
Love
about
that.
the 1960s, I think, is when it was built, and we
Oh,
remodeled it
cool.
for our office. So it's a neat building.
Yeah,
Very
it
cool.
sounds like it. I'd like to see it. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, final question of the day, which is one of my favorites. What is most inspiring you today?
Most inspiring, I would say I'm on my journey to try to get in better shape. It's we use and make all these excuses when you're entrepreneurs that you don't have the time to do it, but it's really about discipline. So I got up and rode a bike this morning for 40 minutes,
Awesome.
and so big accomplishment for me, and I'm super excited about it.
That's
So
awesome. Did you take a class or did you hit the road?
no, hit the road. Just
Wow.
went down we have a trail down by the parkway, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just rode 20 minutes out, and I think it probably took me 25 minutes to get back. So
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to getting in better shape. So
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's a great goal always. So
yeah.
more power to you. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I just think I loved hearing your story of starting from 18 years old and just the businesses you built. It's been so inspiring. And I just want to encourage everyone that's listening to save this show and come back and listen to it again because Eugene really did have some great words of wisdom on how to just grow and build a business that we all are trying to build. So don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a notification every time a new show drops just like this one. And thanks to everyone for joining us today, but a special thank you to Eugene. It was great meeting you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Until next time, bye-bye.